Hey everybody, I'm Jack Reedy with Future Pastimes. I'm a designer on Dune-themed games and expansions, especially expansions for this edition, the 2019 edition of Dune from Gale Force 9. And in this video, I'm taking a look at a 3D board for the game that is available on Etsy. Now, I don't have this board, so I can't really assess its physical components. My wife has not given me the green light to just order it myself, as you'll see. But we know from the announcement that Gale Force 9 did on GameFound for the Kwisatz Haderach edition of Dune that is launching in 2025 that the possibility of a 3D board is out there. It's something that they want to entertain. Now, there's no information whether or not that's actually going to go forward. It might be fairly exclusive. We just don't. We don't know at this point. But I wanted to take a look at this and talk about what I like about this board, what areas I would change, and then to solicit your impressions as well. So this is the board. I'm on the Etsy page here, and I'll put a link to it in the description. So if you are got the AOK from your spouses or partners to invest in this kind of a board, or maybe you want to wait and see what they'll do with Kwisatz Haderach. I certainly would understand that, but yeah, if my wife could rationalize it, I would just do this now. Because I would like to play with this board. There's a lot about it that I like. But as I said, there's a few things about it that I would probably change. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things. So here's a little video I have on here. So some of these segments, they're magnetic. And, when you're connecting, and especially on the outside of the board, putting in things like the tanks and the turn tracker. And here, if we take a look at this one, you can see they've got the turn tracker here as a module, here as the phase markers. Each of these are your faction markers, and these, I believe, too, are also magnetic. And so if you're only playing, say, 4 players, you would click in the ones you need and take out the ones you don't need. You got the tanks down here, you got the spice down there. That's your classic configuration, but you could configure it however you want. Let's say that you're playing and the Tleilaxu are actually sitting right here. You might say, let's put the tanks right there. And we'll put the spice bank here by the Emperor, or what have you. So I do appreciate that. Here's a little more information. So as you can see, yeah, it's magnetic for these different components. And they also talk about how it is, so there's actually even more magnetic stuff. So I like that. That is a very cool idea. So this is the shield wall intact, shield wall destroyed. I would have a lot more fun, I think, with the state of the shield wall before and after. I'd also have the maybe states as well for the shield wall as a stronghold, still in that area, still intact. Stronghold after the shield wall has been destroyed, because it still counts as a stronghold if you're playing with those rules, which by the time a 4th expansion comes out, could very well be canon rules for the game. So that's an interesting element there. So this is the main piece. As you can see, it's 59 centimeters, which if you're one of our Euro viewers, is going to be very easy for you to visualize. And for Americans, we have to do some conversion. And we're like, centimeters, that's not very much, but it's actually a pretty decent size. So this is how it is assembled. So it's puzzle pieced together on the black base, and then these segments get put in there. So you've got this little activity here every time you want to put the board together, which probably does not take very long, but that could be a fun element to it. And here's it's all set up mid-game. We can see that there's stuff going on, and we're going to zoom in a little bit more so you can get a sense of the size. So that is an ambassador token right there from the Ikaz and Moritani expansion. So these strongholds are not huge. This certainly, I think, is bigger than the board, but not by a huge margin. And so my expectation would be that with a 3D board, we'd want it to be a little bit bigger. At least, I think, is size of the playmat that Gale Force 9 does, which is a bigger space, especially because on these, you'll notice on these strongholds, there's 3D features in here, which means that you're limited in the number, in the amount of space and the number of tokens that you can easily fit in there. Now they have the polar sink is raised up. I would actually have this recessed and make it more, sink-like. But I love the idea of the rock areas. These are very clearly marked. There's, Pasty Mesa is very big. A lot of rock area on here. You can see they've got a discovery token. That's actually not the sector where it would go. It would go right here. Same thing with this one. It's pretty close. I mean, this is the sector. It's a little bit on the border there. But I think we would take that into account, especially if we were doing larger tokens. I would want to do for a deluxe Kwisatz Haderach edition. I would not do a larger map, and larger discovery tokens, especially because one of them several of them are territories. One of them is a stronghold, and so you're going to want to be able to fit forces in there. You're going to want to have room for 2 sets of forces, but really you're going to want to have room for, if you've got Ekaz and Atreides ally, they're in that territory, and the Emperor's there as well, but there's advisors as well. And you may want to have a room for a terror token and an ambassador. So there's a lot. There's a lot that you can put into a stronghold. Now, as far as the Spice Bank, I would love to see the Spice Bank have compartments for the different denominations. Might play around with those denominations as well. 1, 2, 5, and 10 makes a certain amount of sense, but not really when you consider the denominations of the spice blows. It might, you got so many 6s, so I guess that's a 1 and a 5, and that's fine. But then you're like, I'm collecting some of it, so you're making change. So I don't know. We might play around with that a little bit as well. I like how they've got the frames there for the shields, and these are a little bit different than the ones I have because they've got some areas for your forces and your spice, whatever, maybe your leaders as well. Of course, you don't really need these area for your forces because you're going to have the planets, right, from the third expansion. Even if you're not using homeworlds, you're going to be like, we're using those tokens because they're just too good to not use. And this, these players clearly have that expansion because there's Ekaz and there's Moritani, so they should, they're playing with strongholds. That's kind of fun, but not using the homeworlds. I don't know. This is probably just mocked up to show the game, the board in action. So here we've got a nice little look. I like, the desert areas are very clearly desert, and you got the spice blows marked. We might mark those in a slightly different way. I think the symbol is pretty good for it, and I would probably see this little section right here, this sector of Wind Pass North with a spice blow in it. This is the biggest problem area on the board. This is a spice blow that's pretty easy to get to, and so you're going to have people fighting over it. You're going to have 2 factions in there, and there's just no room. We gotta sort that out a little bit. And if we go to a system where we're using double spice blow on 1 spice card, then it would be nice to have the extra spice blows that we've been using on my board. I certainly would want to emulate I have the double play mat, so it's really big, which is great because I have the token inserts, which it does look like they're using here. Yeah, they're using token inserts here. I've got the new ones, though, that are stackable. These aren't really stackable, as you can see from those 2 that are not stacked. And none of them are really well stacked. You got a couple over there, okay, but the stackable ones are great. They're a little bit thicker, so they take up a tiny bit more space, but it's worth it. It's worth it for that nice stackability. But we're looking at the board, right? We're looking at how this board looks, and so this is a nice view to get some of that 3D effect. So I don't know. I part of me also would like to. I'm envisioning 3 levels. The lowest level would be, for me, the strongholds. They would be recessed, and as well as the sink. And then the middle level is your desert level, and then the rock level would be your top level. And you need to be able to put forces on the rocks because you are going to have forces on those rocks, even without discovery tokens. The Fremen start here in this rock territory if they want, and this one over here. And there's the shield wall, and people are sometimes on it, even if they're not using those rules or they're in this rock territory adjacent to it, so they can blow it up. And you've got rim wall over there where you are sometimes having to flee after the shield wall has been blown up, so that you're protected from the storm. So you want to be able to fit forces there. You're probably not fighting in rim wall west very often, but it can happen. Certainly if you're the Harkonnen and let's say the Atreides are in really bad shape and they've fled to rim wall west to avoid the storm, and you're going hunting for leaders because you've got their number. You know that they didn't buy any defenses in this last round. They didn't buy any cards because they're spice poor, and you've got maybe a couple of their traders, and they haven't unlocked Kwisatz Haderach. And so, yeah, you definitely, I've seen it. I've seen people having battles here as well. So, like I said, there's a lot about this. This is very cool. The bottom line is, yes, I think it's probably worth the price. It's what is the price, one might ask? Well, let's take a look at the page. In the U.S., it's $267. Now, there's only 3 left, and somebody has one in their cart as of the recording of this video. But, if they get a lot of orders and they sell out, but there's a lot of people who are like, I still want this, and maybe you're planning to not really get anything from that Kwisatz Haderach edition except for maybe a storage box or any of the new material. This one does it for you. Get it now. Who could blame you for wanting to do that? It's exceedingly cool, and so I love this idea. But I'm hoping that Gale Force 9 will watch this video and take some lessons from it and say, yeah, there's something here. It doesn't have to be made of wood. I think a wood one. I've seen the wood one. So my friend Banana Smasher, who ran the Dice Tower Con West Dune tournament, and he's a hell of a Dune player. We met in person at the WBC last year. He's a great guy. He's really good at Dune, especially as the Fremen. He will rock your world as the Fremen. So play against him at your own peril. He's got a gorgeous wooden board. It's bigger. It's nice, but I don't think that Gale Force 9 can really practically offer a deluxe wooden one. But a plastic one, yeah, if it looks nice, I think that this is a great jumping off point. I would say we look at this, we take take some of these ideas or inspiration from these and build on it. And I'd love to have a conversation with them about that. So I do like this modular nature of let's move these things where they make the most sense. Because, we want to be able to, you don't want to be like, oh, the Tleilaxu always have to be down here at this dot. And, the purple player, I'm like, I want to sit over here. So let's move those tanks next to me there. And in fact, if it's modular, you can just go and pop it off and say, I'm just going to have the tanks like way over here, not even attached to the board, because I like to sort through who's going to be my new Gola and that sort of thing. So yeah, let me know in the comments. You can go and check this out for yourself. If you have purchased this, or especially if after watching this you purchase this, please let me know. And especially when you get it, let me know how it goes. Show us some pictures. Shoot a video of you enjoying the experience of having this 3D board. But outside of this specific one, your thoughts on a 3D board. Now I know that if they do something, if they offer something like this on the Kwisatz Haderach, I expect it's going to be an add-on. Or part of a tiered pledge level. So like the God Emperor pledge level, where you put, you're spending more, but you're saving more. And as part of that, you will get the big 3D board. They did something like that with the Adventures of Conan, where they offered like an absurdly large playmat that you could get at the Crom pledge level. You were getting it. And you could buy it separately as an add-on, but you were getting it at that pledge level. And if you were getting everything, basically, all of the deluxe components at that pledge level. And if you were just buying them separately as add-ons, you would have paid more. If you just get the pledge level, you're going to get some savings. And so I expect that they would have, if they have the 3D board, you can just get the 3D board if that's what you want, or if you're going in on everything, on whatever they call that pledge level. God Emperor sounds pretty good. That sounds like the top pledge level that you would want for your Quiznots Hatterack edition of Dune, whatever that eventually entails. So yes, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you know of any other board options out there, point them in my direction, and I'll take a look at them and perhaps do a video, and get some more input from the Dune community. That's it for this one, everyone. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again soon.